Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon, and we're grinding credits again in the BF 110C-6. This is a Tier 4 German heavy premium plane, characterized by excellent climb, terrible turning, and a wonderful boomstick. The map is Pacific Ocean, and I'm in a Tier 4 battle, and the thing that you're going to recognize right off is I am way above everybody else. This thing in a Tier 4 battle, you'll notice on the right my performance envelope for altitude. I'm way outside that. It does not matter how my plane handles. I am just 1,500 meters right above everybody, and it's very valuable to be above everybody in the beginning of the game like this because I have view range on my pilot. He's not all the way through that skill yet, but I get to spot the enemy team for my teammates, and by being above them I can choose when and where I want to engage. So I mapped the controls to fire the 30mm with my right mouse button because that has an effective range of like 800-900 meters, but my 7mm machine guns only have an effective range of about 400 meters. So I don't want to just hold down the left mouse button and fire all my guns because at max range only the big gun is going to have any effect and I'll be wasting gun heat. So I use the right mouse button for clicking, and then when I get within about 500 meters I run both guns at the enemy. You can see here that my enemy's a little farther out, he's above 600, and the machine guns just are not hitting, but once I get within 500 or 400, now the machine guns start hitting. So not running your machine guns at long range is actually something you should really do. Map the different size of guns to different buttons. The angle of the bullets coming around me shows that they're in a steep climb, and that's why I'm not taking evasive action and why I just calmly finished off that Hawk 75, because I knew that they get an accuracy penalty by firing upward, and or he's going to stall out because the bullets were basically going from the exact bottom of the screen to exact top of the screen, so he was in a pretty steep climb. If the bullets were coming down at me, signifying the enemy that was above me, I would have been a little more worried. You saw me right there not even try to go for that F2A. You have to, with a heavy fighter, you have to understand what a good angle is, and that was not a good angle. It takes a little bit of time and experience. Generally with a heavy fighter you want to engage like I'm doing now from a long distance, and if you have to turn a lot in a heavy fighter, that's not a good situation. You're not going to be happy with the result. So you'll notice that I really haven't been talking about the actual planes that I killed. I've killed 6 planes and said very little about, hey, I'm crushing half the enemy team here. That's not the interesting part of this game. So we have almost won. However, there is one of the enemy that does have 4 kills, signifying that he probably knows what he's doing. I get lucky here and narrowly avoid a ram when we both try to evade the same way, but the Supremacy timer is actually ticking against us. So even though we have a 6-3 lead in planes, we're actually on the verge of losing in about 45 seconds to a minute probably. Bobby Fischer said that the hardest thing to do is win a 1 game, and we basically have a 1 game right here. 6-2 advantage in planes. The Supremacy timer gets knocked down every time you kill an enemy ground target or an enemy plane, so that resets, giving us a lot of time. And the good player on their team is right below me. The BF-110C can explode planes out of nowhere. Look at that. That was crazy stuff. So now you're thinking, okay, well, it's 5-1. What's the big deal? Well, it's still ticking down in Supremacy, and we don't know where the final enemy is. Part of the reason for making this video is I've lost several of these games, being up 6-1, and all we have to do is hunt down the enemy. I've lost several of these games today, and so you have to take it on yourself to figure out what needs to be done, and you need to do that. And right now I typed to the enemy team spread out, and I'm going to find the enemy attack aircraft. However, looking at the Supremacy timer, I reevaluate the situation and say, you know what, if I don't find him in time, we're just going to lose. Nobody's attacking ground targets. I'm in the only heavy. I'm the best one to attack ground targets. So I turn around and I hit the boost and I try and look for enemy ground targets so I can knock that timer down. Our team is not spreading out at all. They're just kind of lazily moving around a little bit. So there's no chance that we would actually find him in time. I'm speeding up time because this is just me attacking ground targets. What's going to happen is my team eventually finds him. So even though that I killed 7 planes in this game, I still think that the best decision that I made was to turn around and say, hey, I don't think I can find him fast enough. I need to kill ground targets. Sometimes the seemingly easy decisions are the ones that make the most difference. I hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.